There we go, Barry. We are
Wow.
now because we, of course, now. But it was I couldn't see this start stream button. Right. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, I don't. That's another one. Let me try this. I'll switch to different cameras, and then.
Oh, cool! I just saw more of you.
There it goes back to normal.
Oh, that's the sexy beast view.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, why it's not working? I don't know what to do.
This is Rick. You're on camera.
Oh, you can see me?
Yeah, I see you from the. Oh, are you move your hand for a minute? Is your hand still touching your face? Maybe it's a still image. I see a picture.
No, it's a still image. I'm moving my hand.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Add to stage, and it says you've added, and it says my camera's working, but of course, it is not. Why is it doing this to me? This is my laptop camera, and I think that one.
Oh, you're on.
That's my laptop camera. Do a weird angle, so I'm not facing you.
It doesn't matter. But this is even better.
Yeah, this is the rest of my.
This is right. This is the rest of you. It's a snapshot of Rick in the moment.
That's right.
Right.
Try one last time. I'll go back now that I know. Oh, there it goes.
So now it says live, right? And it's counting up. So great. So we're on, and I guess are we broadcasting, Rick, or are we just?
We are. Before I just hadn't pushed start stream. Now I did.
We're streaming.
Yeah.
Great. Well, say hello, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Rick.
This is Rick Morgan. I've got my guest Barry from comicpressor.com. Barry and I are old friends from opposite corners of the country. We live as far away from each other as we can and still speak English. Me too.
About that.
And Barry is an innovator, maybe not as vociferous as I am about his innovations, but he's no less innovative. And he is an artist by trade and a patent software designer also by trade. If that's still true, I think it is.
I've tried to change my past, Rick, but I just can't do it. So it's still true.
And we're good friends. And Barry and I have been doing this work together and collaborating and cooperating for 4 years now, maybe?
That's right. And Rick, it's a little hard to hear you as you're talking, so I don't know if your mic gets closer to you or actually I'm going to pull mine closer. But yes, I heard you say about 4 years. Yeah, it's been a few. I can't believe I've been at it this long. This whole thing started as an experiment. You may recall, do you recall I told you like I was going to start cleaning and pressing, which is how I got to know you because of your fearless cleaning and pressing and committed storytelling about it. But do you remember what I told you when I said I was going to try my hand at this? Do you remember what I said?
No, I don't really.
Oh, it's fine. Because you had a comment. But I basically said if I couldn't figure out how to be among the best in the world at this, I wasn't going to do it. I would leave it. It was like I was going to try. If I could not find a way to be a great world-class cleaner and presser, what was the point for me anyway?
I remember you
time away from another career to do it.
I remember you saying you wanted to do things that nobody had done before. I remember that.
Maybe.
Yeah. I remember, and just so everyone here knows, Barry and I have met each other in person once, and he was very generous and took me around in a tour of Atlanta, which I still remember. It was very nice, and showed me his work area shop, which was evidence of two things: a person who genuinely loves comic books and reading things. Despite what a lot of people say about people in my business is that you don't really love they kind of shame you for not being a true comic lover sometimes if you don't talk about the books and the characters that happens. Not true for Barry. He definitely is as nerdy as the rest of us, and person who is dedicated to his craft at a level that most people won't quite understand. Is my impression.
Well, I don't know if it's hard to understand as much as I'm shocked myself how long it's taken me to achieve it. Cleaning and pressing now is a ballet of body muscle memory, that has to continually be maintained and improved. I mean, the amount of times I'm lifting and turning and placing and layering and inspecting and delayering and inspecting and staging and shooting and stuffing and unstuffing. I mean, the amount of work it takes to really work at scale, which was my sick dream, was to not just clean press stuff, but to clean and press stuff as efficiently as possible, as much as possible, for whatever number of square inches I'm in. And
I've been wanting to talk to you about this, like about longevity, and we can get into that in a minute. But so I've known since I started doing this, and you and I are both some of the earlier people. It was blue ocean when we got in. It's red ocean now, right? It's a lot of if you're not familiar with those terms, it's like when it was a lot of people are doing this sort of work now and advising and giving tips on it. So there's a lot of wealth of knowledge to draw on. But I've seen a lot of people come and get really excited and get their channels and their streaming going, and then also disappear, right? And I don't have information on why everybody disappears for a while and they just sort of vanish.
Hard work. I cannot believe.
Right.
The amount of time and energy and commitment you and others have demonstrated to take us all as far as you have with free pressing and cleaning knowledge. I mean, you're giving away your knowledge. You get the YouTube cachet and brand equity and social presence in return, and I'm sure fulfillment and personal satisfaction, plus a dialogue with people who want to talk to you and you get feedback from. I mean, it's beautiful. But
your friends, really, they become your friends. But some people, I think there's a couple things. Some people start to realize how much work it is and the detail and the effort that's involved, because you can get out of control pretty quickly. And the other one is, I think at least two people, and that's a very small sample set, I know, made their first mistakes on some of their big boy books, and that'll caution you, if you're not used to how to handle that. And a couple people, I know two, and you know them too, actually. I think both of them have like just sort of disappeared, because that can shake you up a little. And so you have to be able to sort of have some learning lessons and continue. And like you said, lots of sweat equity and muscle memory and money go into this. It's hard, half art and half science, really.
And the rest of it is supply chain. And actually, it's Rick. I mean, you are, become a world-class purveyor of supplies, which probably surprises you too. I mean, you started with this, that, the other, trying, and you just kept trying. That was what ended up working. But I would say that, it's the amount of supplies you have to buy to really do this. I mean, every day. I mean, multiple times a day, buying this, buying that, purchasing this, whatever. I mean,
pallets of equipment, pallets of acrylic, steel, aluminum, storing equipment, sorting equipment, keeping it from going bad. It's so much, drills, lathe, presses, lasers, 3D printers, like handling all the electricity and all. It gets out of hand after a while, and you start wondering about it.
I thought most of this was a side hustle at like a place you had respected, your career access, but you were, a guru, and so they let you fiddle with the instruments once in a while. But you've got to be beyond that now. I mean, you must have a facility of some type, right?
It do, yeah. It's grown a lot since then, and so, it's just, as it's managing all that, just making sure you have everything you need, and making sure everybody's getting paid, and that the B&O taxes are filed, all that kind of stuff. It starts to not become a hobby. It starts to become a career or a job after.
Right. Well, way is a job. I don't know if it's a career. It's a job. And what gets you in doesn't keep you in. And that, I've kind of talked about it before, but in general, for me, right, for us, it's the communication. It's really talking to people and answering questions or providing feedback. And then, of course, not going too far. In the beginning, mistakes are often like trying to give someone a grade or estimate a grade. I see people who are like, we'll grade it, we'll pre-screen it, whatever. I have no clue what CGC will say. I have an inkling of what they'll do. I have an inkling of what what we know what they say, if it's this, what they'll do, or what that will do. But I really try not to speak for CGC or say I think it's going to grade this. We have to talk about grades, and we grade books to value them, but we don't. I was started out promising grades, shooting for grades, targeting for grades, speaking grades, and over time we found our a niche by just talking about defects, problems. I can fix this problem. I can fix that problem. This problem will be fixed detectably. This will be hard to detect the fix for this problem, like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I could just say that, yeah, communication has become what we spend more time evolving, if you will, once we get set in our ways on pressing. And that was the goal, was like, for me, was stop innovating. You said I'm an innovator. I actually don't want to innovate. I don't want to change it. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to tweak the formula. I don't want to get fancy with the spices. All I want to do is just put my dough in the oven, bake it lightly, and come out with just a beautiful finish, a nice sheen at 4 in the morning. And by 6 a.m., it's like all done and everybody's just enjoying it already. I mean, and so like that's my take on pressing, where in the beginning I was, much more about, let me try this, let me try that. What about this? Oh, I'm gonna get better at this. Goodness, a lot of cases we got past that. But that's how met you again. I was a fan. I would, watch your videos, reached out to you. We started talking. I asked you stupid questions. You gave me smart answers. I'm like, oh, So yeah, over time, yes, well, again, we decided to meet and start talking. Now, actually, I see a note here from Comic Book Chris. Hello, who says I'm everyone right now. That's funny. And he says he mentioned the chamfer boards. Rick's chamfer boards were probably the first thing that attracted me to what he was doing. I was interested in a Macu Clean because it was novel to use to wipe, wipe surface Duro. But the chamfer boards were like an entirely guaranteed mechanical solution to a very hard problem that was awkward and risky to hold the books and work with. So, I mean, Rick's chamfer boards really helped me not handle the book so much and still reach very difficult places on it. And as well as I had never even ironed a spine when I started this. I didn't know the first thing about ironing spines. Hopefully I'm a world-class person now, but I learned about ironing spines from Rick. I didn't know what tool to use. I didn't know how he did it. But do I do it like Rick now? No, I do not. Do I use Rick's tools to do it? Probably not. Why? Not because they're not great, just because we've settled into something that works for our scale, for our volume, what we do. But the principle of, gently massaging from with a tiny head across, surface that's supported from underneath with a machined edge, which back in the day was machined by the Morgan fam, Morgan fam machining, and so, yeah, but I'm saying like the chamfer board was like an innovation, super useful, helped scale pressing for me, helped me reach more stuff sooner, more gently and more safely, for a better result that reduced more defects, and that allowed me and my customers to get higher grades. And so I use those chamfer boards just about every day. I don't use every board every
really
day.
Happy. That makes me proud because all the time. That's my goal, right? My goal is to help other people meet their goals, right? That's really what I want to do. And I just like building and making stuff. Right? I just really enjoy it. And it's really satisfying to hear you say that, Barry, because I know I really respect you and what you do and your work. And I've seen you do some really good things. And so this makes me feel really good. It's also really interesting that having a relatively small audience of, I don't know, something close to 8,000 people maybe on my channel, but don't get that many hits every video. I'm like the mayor of some small town in Ohio or something. Like many people know who you are, right? But when you travel around the world and people recognize you, of course, I'm going to places where there are comic books, things that you're more likely to hit. When people see you and recognize you in Africa or Europe or something, it is
right. Wow.
It makes you like, people say, oh, I know you aren't you that guy with this. It takes them a minute, and then it is interesting and inspiring and it makes you feel good. Actually, I called an IT guy for service on the phone on my computer about 6-7 months ago. And he, through my voice, not knowing who I was, recognized my voice from my videos. And he went and grabbed another guy he was talking to. Hey, it's that comic book guy on the phone. He came over and talked to me. So those little moments warm your heart and make you feel good. At least,
well, stay warm. I mean, the point is that us being able to do on-site comic pressing, which was the title in your thumbnail. Let's and sort of what's topical, because next week we'll be at Heroes Con in Charlotte, June 20th through 22nd, at booth 230 and 232.
230, 232.
Yeah, you're even numbers, so it's a 2 booths side by side. And we'll be working in partnership with Golden Auctions to not just clean and press comic books on site the convention, but to do it for free for anybody who wants to consign to Golden. So Golden basically will pick up the expense; they'll pay us. We'll do it, and then it'll hand back to Gold, who will go back to CGC, probably a grading company. Then it will go to Golden, and Golden will sell the books. But people, it's so expensive to really, and all the cleaning and pressing and all the fascination with it, everything with the value of comics and the impact on the value of comics, which is the allure, taking care of your stuff as well as making money from it. But I mean, it's work, tons of work, to clean it, to press it, and transaction costs to send it to CDC, to have it graded, at Hive with a percentage value fee, to have it shipped back to you, to ship it to a marketplace, to play the marketplace fee, on and on and on. And so you pay with a credit card. There's a credit card fee. So there's just a lot of transaction costs of comics. But if you could just hand the comic off and get money back, that's often the goal for a lot of people. And between that, there was time and effort and dialogue and haggling and again, staging and transaction costs. So anyway, we're going to be working to help Golden reach its goals around getting bigger and higher value consignments. And we're going to do that by helping the consignors see that they could hand them 6.0s and Golden could end up auctioning 8.5s. And, or hand them 8.5s and auction. They could be auctioning all the way up to 9.8. And, that's especially for people who are going to the con to get stuff signed, because the world's best living artists and writers and comics are there. And then CDC will be doing on-site grading. Can you go get it signed, get it pressed, get it graded, and get it back in one weekend? Well, we're there to try. So we'll see. But that really doesn't happen now at comic convention. So we want to make that possible. And Rick, your tools are part of that. So, I mean, not just the chamfer boards, okay, but something else we really rely on, though we won't be doing, we'll do as little of it as possible to show, are your staple tools, the staple removal tools, the staple replacement tools, the staple management tools. We really don't want to be disassembling books, on rapid turnarounds all the time, but it doesn't matter. We get at a book any way we need to. And so being able to open a book quickly, not insanely quickly, not carelessly, but to be able to efficiently, pry open staples, save them, capture them, not lose them, especially in a temporary space. It's important. And so, we're working, to have that basically a mobile comic care facility there. Not just comics, by the way. We do comics, cards, Dungeons and Dragon modules, manga, pulps, magazines. So vintage paper. So caring for your vintage paper is the on-ramp to improving the value of your vintage paper. Some people jokingly call it expensive paper. And, there is an entire subculture around expensive paper. Rick, you've tapped into the subculture for cleaning and pressing. I would say that if you looked at the Immaculate Comics customer database, you probably have one of the world's best databases of self-identified cleaning and pressing hobbyists and professionals. Rick probably has a database of like the best grouping of pressers and cleaners in the world. Yeah. And all those people are trying to enjoy themselves, build a hobby, or frankly, it's like table stakes. I mean, you really can't be in the comics business without taking care of your merch. So this is the way you do it. But I would say that over time, like conventions and stuff, as more groups of collectibles come together at one time. See, the convention is like a self-assembled mountain once a year at Heroes Con. For 40 years, Heroes Con's been going on. It's the biggest, if not the best, in my opinion, vintage comic show in the world, not to mention on the East Coast. And so it fills an entire convention center, just vintage comics. So they all come together in one place at one time. That's a rare opportunity to service those items. And so whether, I'm of course, I'm interested in working with collectors, but I'm also interested in working with the dealers, because the dealers are bringing long boxes of stuff they really don't want to leave with. And they don't have to anymore. They could leave their long boxes with us, and we would press them, clean them, hand them to Golden, who's more than $100 million company owned by eBay. They have tons of scale. And they would process all this stuff and, walk through and basically liquidate it. Not like liquidate it for pennies on the dollar, but at auction. That's what they do. So for many dealers have their own platforms. They do it themselves at the website, whatever, of course. But I mean, with this particular deal, if anything that's $200 and over FMV, Golden will buy the pressing for it. And anything that's over 3,000 FMV, they will buy the pressing and the grading for it. I mean, if you right now you have to press it yourself, then you have to go pay to have it graded. You ship it multiple places. You drag it with you. Now, will somebody hand us a long box of $3,000 plus books? Probably not. But I would say that there's many whatever X-Men burn runs and the X-Men and things like that, Spidey runs and stuff like that, where there's whatever Strange Tales, just anything that's not the super ultra high end key, that's not a wall book. There's lots of these things, and a lot of dealers have beautiful, especially at Heroes Con, they have these beautiful collections. They buy really nice stuff. They make all their money on the keys, God bless them, right? And they have all this middle run stuff. These books are really nice. Get them in front of a presser. You don't have to pay. You don't have to, it's not going to ask you 1,000 questions. And get all those books up. You really can start finding 9/8s, 9/6s, 9/8s of silver, Bronze Age books that you would have. And that's what happened to me, Rick, using your stuff, not just your stuff, but learning from you, learning the principles, learning the tools you used, changing what you used because I saw you do this and then I had an idea. That's allowed me and my team to start getting 9.8s on Silver Age books regularly.
I saw several of your examples of that.
I never thought.
Can you guess? Speaking of the database, I'd like to see you take a guess, because I was not right in my own guess. How many customers are in this database now? Because I thought that there was a limit, and I was wrong about this limit. How many people do you think?
I would say it's thousands. I don't know how many thousands of people. It's probably, I'm guessing a low number, thousands of people are cleaner presser aficionados. You've been at it for 4 or 5 years, right? We probably met 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So maybe you don't get quite 1,000. It's probably didn't all work out evenly, but if you average 1,000 a year, so let's say 3,000 or 4,000 people are probably interested, touching, or engaging with you for something. Now,
just short of 11,000.
Wow.
I know, right?
Well, actually, that for those of you who tuned in and those of you wise enough to have gotten this far in the video, this is an important piece of market insight that really nobody else in the world can provide. And Rick, you just did it. Yeah. 11,000 and growing.
Yeah.
And what that just shows how essential the skill set is. And that's why there's more people doing it or whatever, but frankly, COVID just made books too expensive. And so people had to get more skills. And then it also backed up all the cleaners and pressers. So everybody realized they can't just rely on those people. They couldn't get their stuff out.
The number increases every October, November by a lot, and then slowly trickles up high the rest of the year.
Every October and November, you get a boost in customers. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's weird because convention season is kind of like spring, summer. So I wonder what October does. Well, maybe it's the holiday.
I think people are just inside, is my guess. They're just finding something to do with their time. I think I've just a complete guess. I have no idea, but every year people more. I don't get it, but it's true. Every year in the fall.
Well, that's fascinating. Well, what I would say is I don't even know how many people come to Heroes Con. I'm guessing it's more than 10,000, but I would say that there's at least 200 or 300 dealers, and not just dealers with like big walls of comics. So it's very exciting to see all those books come together because you have Instagram and eBay. It's all out there, but seeing them all in one place at one time and going, I want this ASM 129. I'm interested in that ASM 129. You can start pitting people against each other. You have fun. But if you that book you're about to pull off the wall could be bumped, or you walk it over to our booth and you ask, or you bring us a snap, you upload a collection to talk to us, or you let Golden look at it to see if they'll take the consignment, you can plan your entire exit strategy before you even enter. And that's really what on-site pressing can do. And Matt Nelson, who's now the president of CGC, I believe pioneered this service. It's been done before. That's what CCS, Classic Collectible Services, which was acquired by CGC, did, I believe. But I don't think it's been done for a while. Same with on-site grading. Just last year, they started bringing on-site grading back. And that was my interest. It's like, well, why is the on-site pressing? CGC has a trade secret method, so maybe they don't want to take it on the road. They have a reputation in pressing, which they may or may not want to extend there. I don't know. But what I can say there is that we were at Heroes Con last year, and people asked us, well, are you pressing? I was like, no. Should we? We got asked enough. I'm like, maybe we should do it. But with all the with all of the opportunity there, the signing, all the signatures there, the books. So it's just so easy to do it. And CDC's on-site pressing can't be beat. On-site grading can't be beat because They're one of a kind. There's a lot of people who just don't want to put their books in the mail, and they really, really want to know what they've got. And if they can get it back before, and dealers too, and getting their stuff graded right then and there, just all of a sudden, and slabs are heavy to carry. For the dealers and stuff, it's better you bring your nice stuff. It's graded right then and there. You start putting it up on the wall, but you didn't schlep it all in with. So, I'm just saying CDC really offers a valuable service there. For us, the pressing, it goes with it. But CDC grading's more expensive there by like 20% or maybe 20%. They charge a 4% fair market value fee on unlimited value books, $1,000 or more regularly. At the show, it's 5%. So you're going to pay 20% more for your highest value books to get graded.
Okay. You're getting speed and not taking the risk of shipping, right?
Right. So there's a super convenient. We're part of it too. It's super expensive. Rick, we're packing an entire truck. We look like a NASCAR pit crew over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't wait for you to tell me more about how that back end works. I have a colleague or a friend, I guess now. He actually has a mobile pressing service, but he doesn't like advertise that it's mobile just because he's living out of an RV right now and driving around, and he's converted this thing to some kind of pressing station. He's bought some property until his house is built. It's mobile, which is, to me, I know what it takes for me, like the care I need to have in the space and the area around me and how I have to set it up. And so I can imagine that the technical difficulties of bringing this on site for customers to a con, it seems difficult to me, and I'd like to hear more about it if you can share.
Well, sure. Well, again, let me just finish praising you.
Okay.
So the chamfer boards we rely on, your staple tools we rely on, and some of the, I'm not going to get specific, but some of the acrylics. We use plastic products in what we do, where we can, and you've been very innovative just with using cut acrylics. One example I'll give, it's not all your stuff, but with masking, with deep cleaning, we deliver light. We deliver light to surfaces in a strategic way to improve the quality and the aesthetics of vintage paper and the lifespan. And so masking is something you've taken to a really strong degree. Many times we have our own capabilities here to make any mask we really need. And we can do it with our own digital and physical tools, but you really started that ball rolling. It was very clever to take the default static piece of paper that's stuck to the acrylic and cut it in such a way where you only peeled the paper you didn't need away, and the paper you used exactly what was there and just took the fewest steps possible and came up with something useful from it. You took the very same sheet you pay $1 for and you made it worth $20. Like, that's my favorite entrepreneurial trick in the world.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's intellectual property. That's what you did. And so, but anyway, we've learned from that, and so we do our own tricks now. But we're at a scale where I can't just buy 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 things from Rick. We just can't do that. So that's something else we're really big fan of the stuff you have. I won't go all through the litany of things you do or what it have or whatever, but like you've made it your business to create a store of supplies for cleaning and pressing, and other people have put up their merch and their wares and their creations and stuff. But I would just say you are among the folks who really continue to pump stuff out. And I really like the more recent ones. The magnetic staple holder is a super necessary thing. I've crawled around on my floor looking for some. I have like a dark gray carpet and like some vintage, not rusted but tarnished staples falling on it. It's a Golden Age staple. You got to find it. It's misery. So anyway, you've got some really good, and so you understand. You're a user, right?
From a person who understands the problems of doing this, right? Yeah.
And then finally, your lighting technology. So we don't use it. Your lighting technology is basically book level. It's for one book or two books. We're focused on delivering light to hundreds of books. So it's not the same. But some of the principles that you used, I believe you were the first to use mirrored acrylic, for example, in your construction. You also have a construction that kind of places it's not a ring, but it's like a box of acrylic around a around a comic. Instead of putting the comic in the thing, you put the thing over the comic. Actually, that was an innovation compared to what was being taught originally, which is like you stick it in the tub. Yeah, that's an issue. I see a comment here from Captive Comics. When you drop a staple, your stomach drops with it. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, so Rick's really solved that, if you will. A couple little magnets at your tabletop. Very nice.
Yeah, thanks for those kind words. I really appreciate it. I lose sight of it sometimes because as this gets bigger, I have less face-to-face or like sort of intimate interactions with the customers and the people using it. And so I sort of lose track in these stories that I like to hear it. It's good for me to have this back. Plus, I haven't been making videos for a while because I've been so sick forever that it sort of been isolated myself from getting the stories back. But I really appreciate hearing it. And there's a great amount of work, just so that everybody here knows, the audience, that goes into understanding and changing what makes it to the customer. It's not just I gotta make something quick and get it out to the market. I study it, I look at it, I measure it, I drop them, I kick them off the table, I try to knock them over, I try to wrap cables around them. There's so much that goes into it in the material selection. And also there are a lot of products I have, and I think Barry knows some of this, that I do not sell and do not show to people because I think that the average person isn't going to use it very wisely.
Oh, believe me, I've asked Rick about problems I think are totally unsolvable in comics. He's like, oh yeah, I tried that. I did that. Yeah, I got this. I got that. I tried this and that. You could try this and that. I mean, when we're talking, I mean, there's stuff you literally every day, if you're watching this video, that you have either been told can't be done, you assume can't be done. It's on a chart published by somebody you follow or read about, and it says things we can't do. And those are things Rick's done. So it's just that for whatever reason, time commitments, regulations, whatever, he can't go put it out there. But I'm just saying, there, anything I think is impossible, I check with Rick first.
No,
usually I'm wrong.
Thanks. Yeah, and I want to let you guide some of this coming up next. But the things I'd be interested to learn is, what does the process look like for a person at Heroes Con? Say I'm Joe Book and I have a book and I want to drop it off. What's that look like for me? And of course, I'm anxious to hear about the technology of doing this in a mobile way that's safe and fast.
All right, I'll talk about it a little bit because we've been talking now for 30 minutes. So I do want to make sure we don't have a really long video. And yeah, but so yeah, I appreciate you asking. So the process is you come to the booth and you find somebody in a purple apron. And that person will have some signage at the booth, but there's a drop-off point. But essentially, somebody in a purple apron can help you. And what we'll be doing there is helping people get their books, their items screened, or to make a screening submission, which means show us your stuff, show us pictures of your stuff, or scan a QR code, fill out a very, very quick form, and upload pictures of your stuff. Then go enjoy the show. We will contact you for an appointment when somebody has time to speak to you, so you're not standing around waiting. Well, we might talk to you right then and there. You walk up with your stuff, we'll talk to you. But the point is, you don't have to wait. If it's busy, we are just, our booth is on the end row, but it's facing Chris Claremont, John Romita Jr., Jerry Conway, Roy Thomas, and Patty Cockrum.
So all my favorite Spider-Man guys that are alive.
Right. Everybody, there will be a line of people on one side of our booth, all the way down, just next to our booth, the whole show, that will be holding X-Men 101, X-Men 94, Giant Size X-Men for Chris. And then over here, there'll be a line of people holding ASM 129s for Jerry Conway. There'll be another line of people with Conan 1s for Roy Thomas. And there'll be, and maybe even Giant Size X-Men 1s for Patty Cockrum. And then there'll be another line of people holding their ASM 238s for John Romita Jr. And, my goal is to help each and every person get a 9.8 signed collectible. And so, we're going to be working just to, engage with those people to, see if they want to do it. And that's what Golden would love to auction, a 9.8 Claremont signed Giant Size X-Men 1, right? And so, that's what I see the opportunity as, is just to help people who are getting their best books signed by the best people to get them in the best condition. Many people are taking any item they have and getting it signed. So anyway, we'll have purple aprons on. People can ask us about the golden deal, or they can just submit to us. They can pay a premium. We're more expensive too at the show. We have a 2,700 square foot pressing center we built. we'll have built upstairs. Okay. And so that's not cheap. But the point is so we'll have an elevated price for a fast turn at the show that we still don't guarantee you'll get it back at the end of the show in every case. If it's unlimited value, but if it's a lesser value, we're going to do our best, but we have a guarantee, believe it or not. I'm still going to maintain our guarantee. So we're going, in the name of quality, we'll just send it to CDC for you. If we have to send it to CDC for you, the convenience of not having it mailed goes away, and so that may eliminate some people. But beyond that, it'll actually be cheaper because CDC will charge less outside the show. And it'll just come right back to you when it's done. But we'll make sure it gets authenticated and, graded and whatever, witnessed and all that stuff. I have a couple people who work with me who are CGC witnesses, so we'll have our own witnesses, plus there'll be witnesses at CGC there. So we're going to help people, again, get the collectible screen, get it signed, get it pressed, and it's needed, get it graded, get it auctioned. So the process, again, is talking to us, talking to a Purple Apron, scanning a QR code and filling out a form, and either getting a meeting right there, putting something on our calendar, or getting invited back. And that's what we'll do. And then when they hand us their collectibles, we will take it. And then basically we construct the order. When you order something now from us, you spend time on a website. What we're going to do, we have a more condensed pressing menu for the show. And so just 3 items: dry clean and press, deep clean and press, unlimited clean and press, which is the full Monty. Okay. And so essentially you'll just pay one of those 3 fees, and then we'll do everything that's needed for your book, all of it. And actually the getting the press of the show fee is less than our rush fees normally. It's more expensive than our 8-week basic turnaround fee, but it's less expensive than a rush. And then how are we doing it? Well, we're basically training every day. I mean, I compare us to an Olympic bobsledding team because we are basically all tied to our equipment, hurtling full tilt down a hill. And one wrong move by any member on the team, and we all take a very, very cold nap. And by the way, that's what pressing's like. Results for a customer are either magic or misery. There's really no in between. And so, again, you don't do well in pressing. It's cold out there. So we're just really working hard to know our equipment, know our equipment's limits, know how we're going to manage cleaning and pressing hundreds and hundreds of items on site without any additional stress. There's already enough stress in it. Ways we're going to bring temperatures up, ways we're going to bring temperatures down, how we'll deliver moisture and humidity, how we'll deliver light, how we will manage surfaces, how we will manage structure, and most importantly, how we will do 120 copies of ASM 129 for 120 customers at the same time and keep every book together for the right customer. And that is super important. So we developed some software. There's some other tools. So there's QR code system and a tracking system. And so we've worked hard to make sure that we've got the ability, again, to conduct commerce and to handle item logistics, just like we are doing the artistry and the repeated mechanical work that's needed to simply just put something in a press, take it out, and heat it and cool it properly.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I hear from my customers the most is they want to set up a system by which their most expensive tool, for most people that's their press, right? Their press is pressing books the most often and not sitting silent, quiet the most often. So they really want to get books in and out and get that cycle going. And so I think that when you start multiplying that by hundreds or perhaps even thousands of customers at the same time, that the logistics, that's what I was thinking about earlier, like the logistics of where to put these books and how to line them up and who gets what, and managing that is something that it seems like it should be well suited for robots.
I have a small but mighty team. It's more, again, it's process. So, I mean, whether the robot does the process or a person does it, it's there. But like, for example, we have photography. We still take pictures of everything, which has been very useful for our marketing, for example. I mean, my before and afters helped me meet a lot of people. And it's not that, it's not like I take better before and afters than anybody. I just take every before and every after. And so I have so many examples that I'm able to find the best ones to tell my story with. And I have a lot of good ones, but not everyone's as exciting as the next. I mean, there's only so many all black Spider-Man tribute covers that you can like throw in a feed. It's not exciting when you're, as a picture, it's straight down. It's better in person when you're shining light. But process is the key. And building in all the stuff that you really don't get paid for. Again, like taking photos and logging locations inside of a studio and staging, moving things through a pipeline that it's been cleaned and then it's been pressed and then it's been cooled and then it's been inspected and redone or whatever it is. We have a pipeline and tools to track the pipeline, and we're constantly moving all these things through the pipeline down to the item, and so that takes quite a bit of whatever bookkeeping, and so that's as important to us as everything else. But again, we're going to be prepared. But we've been buying tons and tons of supplies just for several months. So stocking up, getting spares, organizing things, and just getting ready to take, as they say, to take the show on the road.
Yeah, in this case, literally, right? Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Like I said, I have a few colleagues and friends who have been cleaning for a long time and pressing, and that's it. Like the timing and the organization, that's another thing. I told you one thing was the mistakes, right? Like make a mistake, and they, like you said, they call it a cold nap. I like that term. It sounds like a Philip Marlowe film noir like detective book, but also the other one was just the logistics. Like becoming popular is not always, you can die more easily, I say, of indigestion than you can of starvation, because it becomes difficult to manage. All of the success becomes a little success is a lot more difficult, right? It becomes hard to handle all these things. And then there's all the business stuff that goes with it, right? All the taxes and the licenses and the QuickBooks and the shipping and all the post office trips and everything. As you know as well as I do, it's the less fun part of it, but it has to be done nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for a while, so that kind of stuff is sadly routine. I mean, handling administrative burden is like, I used to think it was a superpower, but it's like it's my spiritual center when it comes to the hobby side of things, the comic side of things, collectibles. Hello, Christopher. But yeah, you could get agita. And we're not trying to be too successful, by the way. I'm not. I try anyway. Something you said earlier. The point is, when you start out, like some people like had some failures. Some people had some public failures. Some people had a private failure, but took it personally still. I took a lot of things personally in the beginning. I take stuff less personally. When I talk to people now, my attitude is simple. If you want to work with us, you need to be a good sport. Don't work with us. I mean, you are hiring us for our artistry, which is enabled by technology. You're not hiring us for wizardry that's enabled by foresight. So, like, we don't really know what's going to happen. And paper is so fragile. There's an entire industry that needs to fix it every day. So if I'm your sure thing, don't send it to me. But people do send us stuff as if we are going to make it work for them. And most of the time we do, which, as I've said many times, shocks me to no end. Because it isn't me. It's my process. I'm just so scared of failing and sucking that I've developed enough process to plan for what might go wrong enough so that when something does go wrong, I'm stopped. I don't shake like a leaf anymore, which I have. and I don't throw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm more about, I need to grab this tool. I know just where it is. I need one of these. Okay, excuse me. I got to make my way to the chem lab or the kitchen or whatever it is. Please excuse me. And I'm double timing. So, but you got to be a good sport. You got to be able to lose. And most importantly, people, whoever's not also a pro watching this, and even if I'll call you a pro even if you're a pro hobbyist, because Rick serves we're fellow pros. So, I think Rick's crowd is someone who's already in the know. But I mean, you really just gotta be prepared to grade something twice. Most people, it's like unforgivable that we did all this work, we paid it, they sent it for grading, and we didn't get the grade we wanted. It downgraded. Okay, send it back. It's a little bit of mail and another $100 or whatever. I mean, obviously we don't want to miss on a Soups 1 4.0 going for the 4.5. We don't want to miss on that. I get it. But I mean, but I have people who like literally are bad sports. They're great. They're wonderful people to work with, whatever. But the second it doesn't go their way on the grade, and it's $150 or more to do the grade. Thank God CDC's kind of lowered prices a lot. They raised a little bit. They were a lot higher 2 years ago, 3 years ago. When you miss on that, they just get aggravated. Or worse, they declared the value too high because they're trying to be, which only works against you with CDC. And then they paid all these extra fees, and then we missed on the grade. They're like, "What's my problem?"
Yeah. Do you have time for some questions? And we have 14 people here now, and I'm assuming that most of my audience is interested in cleaning and pressing or having things clean and pressing.
I would love to answer questions. I really don't want to take up too much time or have a video that's so long no one wants to watch it on
YouTube. We got about 11 minutes to go, and I try to often save the last 10 minutes for questions. Does anybody in the audience here of the 14 people have a question for Barry?
And I'm looking at comments here, right? There's so many books that Captain Comment says there's so many books that people want done. There's no need to work with someone who won't work with you. Sure, that's right. Though people want to work with us, and then it's like a guilt trip, or like, oh, you said you remove all the problems, but it came back restored. That's a problem. You didn't remove it. I mean, just people who's like where the reason. The rationale, we start haggling, if you will, right? I kind of was a dealer, by the way, audience, and I didn't like it so much after. I don't mind it. But when the haggling and stuff, I like the cleaning and the pressing and the preparing stuff and the marketing and things like that. I have a partner who's really good at selling and negotiating haggling. I don't mind doing it, but to me, haggling one book doesn't seem like the best use of my time sometimes. So anyway, it's come down to we have a very thin set of customers, and who over time just start haggling with us. If they don't get the grade they want. And we're trying to be like, here's a product that's on a menu. You ordered this, or you asked us for our opinion. We recommended this. This is what it is. Sorry, it didn't work out, but we did our side. So yeah, it's just evolving. But yes, you don't have to work with anybody if they're too difficult. For sure, there's a lot of options for both sides out there. But we do want to delight people. It's very rewarding to delight people on this.
Surprise and delight is nice. I can tell you that, and you probably assume this too, that I've learned that people who do things that I do, which is to go up on a screen and present your face to other people, have to have two. Sometimes we're divas, like we just like the attention and there's a lot of energy and like, look at this grade bump I got, and you kind of feed off of this, and I'm probably as much as anybody else, although I try not to be. But also, people who do this are, what am I going to say? So they're divas, and also there are personalities involved. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. There can be a lot of personalities in the different people who are presenting this stuff online, and sometimes that can be a lot too. There can be challenges from other people who do this kind of work, and there can be camps and sides and things, and there's some unpleasant sides to this as well. So Chris, I like that, Superman. Risk versus reward. If it can benefit from pressing, great. But if you're skeptical of damage, then don't press it. Well, we're all skeptical of damage. I think that's all of us by nature. But yeah, if you're overly skeptical, overly afraid.
We try most things that come our way unless it's structurally disintegrating, which is not always the best thing. There are many more cautious people who would say, I just don't touch it at all. There are things we don't touch. Other places, like if something sticky on the book, sometimes they want to touch it, but we try to remove the sticky stuff. For us, because we have more cleaning offerings than, let's say, CGC or some other pressing cleaning type company, maybe, because we're focused on a lot of cleaning techniques. Sometimes we'll tackle something that someone else wants. So it might seem fragile or terrible that someone may say, I wouldn't do it, but then we would try sometimes. But we're letting people know, there's a risk. This could get worse, not better. So that's an issue. I do see someone here. There's someone says, Comic Book says, I have a stubborn small wave on this. Is like a pressing question. I have a stubborn small wave on the cover. The paper seems weak in that spot. I've used dot tools. Chris, if the paper's weak, don't press on it anymore if you can help it. But if you use dot tools, maybe you want to use a smaller tool. If you have a wave, the bigger the dot you use, the more wave you're putting into the book. It may, so if you're we found that when you're using those dotting tools, it's better to start very small and work your way up. By the time you're using a bigger dot, you should be at the end of blending in your work from the back side. You still have to press it out on the front. But if you the tinier the dot you start with, the less likely you are to make the wave, to make that whatever that thing is worse. If it's really a wave and not like a finger bend, you use the tiniest tool on a little crease, then you work your way out. On the bigger stuff, it's often better to do very light massaging still with the smallest ball that will kind of fill in the curve, whatever curve you're chasing, and then you pressing it and you're doing it. You just have to do it a few times, which is expensive, slow, but I mean you can pull that back. Let's see, Buck Farmer. Oh my gosh!
Oh my God! It's
Buck is alive. Buck Farmer doing? How you doing, buddy? He asked questions. Will you open slabs at Heroes, and is there literature online on the golden deal? Thank you for asking. We will be cracking slabs all day long. There was a group behind us last year. I think I have to remember their name, but they were cracking. I mean, they taught me. I mean, he had a little thing on his keychain at the end of a screwdriver. I mean, he was he just hit every corner, popped it open. Now, of course, thanks to Rick, it's 10 times harder to crack a slab at a show. So that's another thing you can thank Rick for. Okay. So single-handedly banned by CTC to prove his impact. Rick, who discovered that the slabs were weak, they strengthened them. Thanks, Rick, for your public disclosure, fearless disclosure of that. But anyway, so yes, we do. Well, we have an entire center. I have one of my team members has their own chisel. They love this thing, and I love them for it. So yes, so we'll be cracking slabs, and then the information on the golden deal, it's been on we have just a couple things on the Instagram feed. And then, yes, but our webpage is comicpresser.com/HeroesCon2025. Rick, if you want to type that in the chat, or maybe I can do it, but yeah, comicpresser.com/HeroesCon2025. You can just go to comicpresser.com. There's when you click on the HeroesCon link, it'll take you to the page, but it lays out the conditions. It's got to be 200 minimum value, 3,000 in value, gets you grading and free pressing. It needs to be pre-screened and approved by Golden. Golden team members will be at our booth during the show to answer questions. They are on the other side of the convention center. So there's a Golden booth, and they'll be taking subs there. You can just go talk to Golden. You don't have to deal with me or anybody on my team. Or you can come to the Comic Presser booth. We'll be happy to help you take the book, and if Golden will still look at it. So Buck, those are some details that could help answer your question. But great to hear from you. See you. Speaking of sticky stuff, people always recommend undo for tape residue, but won't undo affect the ink. I really don't use undo. So I have it. I read it. Someone talks about it. I get it and try it. There's a risk of but I would use undo on like a modern glossy cardstock cover. Use it on that where it's a really thick, like it's almost like a book. It's the cover of a book in a library type of book. When it's a cover of a comic book, typically, we're using Bestine. Bestine is also known as N-heptane. Rick can tell you more about that. And that is really when you see other conservators dunk the entire cover in a solvent to like scrape off tape. That's Bestine. So Bestine makes a quick stain in your stuff, but it dries without the stain. So it should be tested. You should be testing it to make sure you understand that, because you can panic right away when the stain gets on and spreads. But a little bit of Bestine on a Q-tip, slowly worked with some other tools, because you have to pick up the Bestine just loosens the sticky stuff temporarily. It's there, then it evaporates, and it's hard, it's sticky again. It doesn't take it off. It just weakens it. You have to use mechanical means or other means to actually remove the sticky stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't use undo unless I had no other option, or the cover was so durable and glossy and strong that I would not be worried about weird reactions between whatever that chemistry is and the fibers they're hitting.
I use toluene, and you may have seen me use that in my, and I use it on the other side. So I soak the back of the paper where the adhesive is, because it's better at loosening the adhesive to paper interaction than it is at penetrating the adhesive. So I just make sure I roll a Q-tip. Toluene soaks it again, evaporates really quickly, has a really high vapor pressure, and it loosens that such that you can just take your finger or small eraser, and then the adhesive will just sort of, instead of smearing it, just sort of slides off. In that case, it does leave a little. There can be a little. You can see where the tape was sometimes, because
tape stains.
Yeah.
So depending on the age of the tape, it doesn't just stick; it stains, right? And in some cases, the oil in the adhesive creates translucency in the paper. The stain is really visibility to the opposite side. So I want to make sure we give the people what they came for on the show. I don't get too nerdy on the pressing questions, but it's great that they're here. So let's ask a couple more. So, well, I'd see more pressing and cleaning of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Well, we do those all the time. I have a like a mint near mint to mint Garbage Pail Kids. You know, all the Atom Smashers, all the really cool like Garbage Pail Kids cards here. Right? They're stickers. They're even flimsier and riskier than doing the cards. And it's very common, believe it or not, to do this. The problem is it's not acceptable. If you have a pressed, or if you have an altered card, which is also known as a doctored card, it's rejected in grading. In comic books, restoration is built into the grading system. It's not just tolerated, it's celebrated. These guys love trying to call what they find on your book. It's not like they think you're an idiot, a criminal, or a scoundrel. You are a hobbyist or professional. That's it. And they're just describing it's built into the system. Cards, it's built out of the system. It's like cheating. And so it's just a very different thing. And that's why you don't see much more of it talked about. It's definitely being done. J-Man, I have a few Golden Age books that exhibit deep newsstand twine indentation. One's a Schomburg cover. Should I try and work it out? Or do hobbyists like it original? Twine marks are tough. I mean, I'd work it. I try to work them out. I don't think anybody wants to see, because they'll get brittle over time. If you have an indentation or weakening of the paper, as the paper tans and ages, it's going to get brittle here. Eventually that paper will break. That paper will snap. That little concavity or the little part that represents the twine indent, that weakened paper will fall away. And so it'll be in a bag or something. You pull it out, you'll press on the cover like laterally one day for something, and it'll just crumble. And then you'll have like a hole in your cover that's like in the shape of the little cross marks at the edges where the twine was.
I've never heard anybody say that they wanted that.
Yeah. So anyway, so should you try and work it out? But if you overdo it, if you really press into all those dents, manually, you could still break the paper. So that part needs humidity and pressing, and yet lots of just over and over and over. A little bit of humidity, a little bit of pressing, a little bit of humidity, until it finally gets flatter and flatter and flatter and flatter. So time's your ally there if you stage it. How long should a book stay in a press to avoid waves? Okay, well that depends on how much moisture you put into it, really. And I just want to be clear. Is that Juggler Assassin? Okay, nice one. Correct me if I mispronounced your given name. But if the problem most people have is they use a heat press, and then they put the heat press near a vent or a window. Most of you who are using heat presses can't control where it is because it's your free space in your house. It's your man cave. It's your garage. It's your basement. It's your cubby. Wherever it is. It's your RV. So you've got the thing where it is. Well, guess what? While that thing's cooling off in the press, if the press is being cooled off by your climate control, which is really not in control, then you are accelerating inefficiently and unevenly the cooling of your book. As the humidity is released from the item, you are basically changing what part of what's happening while it does that. And in particular, if you think of a heat press and you're putting something in the press and it's in a sandwich, right? And for example, like a lot of people believe, Rick had talked about myths in the thumbnail. Here's a myth. You need a metal plate to press your books. I understand Rick provides them. Okay. That's a myth. Nonetheless, people have these things in these plates. Okay. And so inside the plate, though, it turns out the plates don't close all the way. So you have space. So you could actually bend down and like look between the plates. You'll see your book in the press. And so there's air that gets in, between the book. And so people put the press near a vent or window, and there's a cooler or hotter draft of air on one side and not the other. And that causes the books not to be even. Otherwise, you put in too much humidity and you don't have enough paper in or outside or around the book, or enough absorbent material or enough moisture evaporation in an even amount of time for it to leave the book homogeneously. And so the book is wetter on one side than the other. When the book is wetter than one side than the other of the paper curls away from the wetness.
That's why I use metal sheet on the bottom is I preheat the bottom of the book first, and then that way it's the same temperature on the bottom of it and the top at the same time to help alleviate that. And what else was I going to say about that? Yeah, you can take, if you have a FLIR camera, you can take a photo of your book when it comes out. And if you don't, and I have a couple of videos showing that too, you can actually see where the element is in the press. If you press the book bare, you can actually see if it's a coil or an S snake. It's pressed into the book, and you can see waves on it in that case. And you can see that the top's hotter than the bottom too.
I want to build on this for just a second. This is how Matt Nelson's and his team are like the graders in the world. They see more than we see. They look at the same thing we look at, but what they see is not what we see, not by a landslide. And that's how they can do what they do, like how they catch it, because they learn to see. Rick also has learned to see. That's why we need to buddy up with Rick. Rick's irreplaceable because he sees for us. The stuff he sees, it would take us too long and too much experimentation to see, but he sees it. And he knows how to push and tweak and nudge the equipment we're all investing in. To be clear to the loyalists who have stuck on this nerdcast, now we're just over an hour.
18.
Okay. Yeah. But I will say this. I could care less what press I'm on, believe it or not. Didn't used to be that way. I use every press you can imagine. When we have this pressing center that we're setting up at the show, we don't just have one press, two press, three presses, four presses. But I have presses of every size and every shape you can imagine. It does not, nothing has to do with the press only. So I want to be clear. People favor their stuff. I use every kind of, it is the technique. It does not matter what press I'm using. It matters how I use heat and pressure and humidity and time in my mix. Not every chef is Gordon Ramsay, but he's on every show showing what he does, showing other people how to do it, having restaurants that he's not in cooking. How can he still be Gordon Ramsay, master chef? Why has anyone stolen his bag, done more than him, whatever? Because he's made it way more about than just the recipe. When we all get into this, as we do what we do, even what we're talking about now with the questions, a lot of this is about what's your recipe? How do I tweak my recipe? Rick knows how to build a better recipe. I was a long time I was about the recipe. I'm no longer, but I've left that. We are able to press at a convention. We are able to scale this because we are all about the restaurant. And it turns out once you can run a restaurant, you could do catering and you can take it off site. And so that's really the transitions we've made. So I was trying to become a chef, and sadly, I don't have the credentials. I'm still homegrown, and I haven't won a televised show or contest or anything like that. But I've done okay, and I've won some accolades with my customers. And now I start a restaurant. My restaurant's done all right. I have a lot of repeat customers. People are coming back for the food. They enjoy it. Now all of a sudden, I'm going to start my catering business, and so that's what we're seeing here at this show. It's the catering. Is there a perfect temp and time to press for all ages of comics? No. Sorry.
There's not even a perfect temp and time for one age of comics.
There's not a perfect temp and time for 3 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 129.
Yeah. I use my general up to modern age, up through copper and silver age, as I always say, 160, 600, but I don't know your humidity. I don't know your book. Those things all make a difference.
Yeah, but I appreciate your question because we want that. We want a rule of thumb. We want that, and that's what we do. We have 1,000 rules of thumb. They're just so many now. They have to be either posted on the wall at our office, or in an app, or in a notepad, or basically again committed to muscle memory. So but the reality is that for modern books that are like this, we do that. For Silver Age books that don't look like this, we do that. For books that are really falling apart, we do nothing. We do this. Or hey, when it's boring, we do this. When it's cool, we do that. So we're more like situations. The situation is not, it's a Bronze Age book, and I have my 2C press, and I put my 2 metal plates in. Now I need to run it for 600 seconds at blah, 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 blah. That is how you start something. It's really not a recipe you follow like religion. Much of what happens is that, it's like, well, that's a normal book. This is this far from normal. This is this far from normal. This is this old. So I try. The hardest books to press, the ones we're going to be the most concerned about, are actually the ones that are most important to collectors right now, are the brand new modern variants. And like homegrown variants, like with tribute covers, which are basically like manga girls in string bikinis that almost look like Wonder Woman. You know, like they're made on digital printers with digital paper. You press that thing, you instantly brick it, glue it together. I mean, these things can't even be run.
They crack.
Not even that. That's just like a black page modern comic. These things are even worse. I mean, they literally solidify, they melt. And so, and then also super new glued like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle type like square bound books. The glues now are so. The point is, we're in a more conservation minded world. The world has demanded lower energy use in industry. To do that, they now create glues that need almost no heat to melt, and they create materials that are, or they're like ultrasonically cured or bonded, and so but heat destroys that. So they have something that's good enough and fast enough to secure everything together in a new type of book. But when you use something old school like heat and pressure and moisture, you actually are invading the book's more modern chemistry. And so even with modern books, water can wipe the ink, the color right off the book. That's why when MacuClean, for example, when you mix it with water, you know, if you're not careful, you literally can just wipe all the color right off of a brand new book. So the newer the book, the less likely it is we've ever seen it. The less likely it is we've ever pressed it. We still have to have a plan for that. Usually the plan is the very least we can do. But like when every con you would go to, the cons are where you get the newest, weirdest, strangest variants. And someone's getting that signed because that's the key, right? Because when you're chasing collectibles, anything that hasn't yet gotten to top of census, anything that doesn't have a lot at the top of the census, you get. And so there's this whole subculture of people who just get weird, strange, hard to find things signed. And even better, 2 or 3 signatures on it. Holy cow. Now you really do have $1,000, $2,000 rare collectible the second it's encapsulated at a high grade. That's when you need a presser. That's when you need quick turn from the signatures to the market, because you really are the only one. If you get it graded on site, pressed on site, you really could have the only 9.8 in the world of a triple signed special variant. Even if it's brand new, you could turn something that you just bought a week ago into a $1,000 item with the right 2 or 3 signatures and a 9.8.
I think
that's what Heroes Con lets people do, and we're there to help them. So I just want to be clear. I mean, I'm interested in money, not just my money, your money. But I'm not really interested in talking about the money. I'm only interested in talking about removing defects. The good news is we all know the chain goes fewer defects, higher grade, more money. Golden, our partner, is concerned about the money. That's how they're judged. They have to get you money for your collectible. That's how you are happy when you work with them. They're an auction house. So it's their job to worry about the money. My job is to worry about the defects. But again, manufacturing collectibles is as important and useful than dealing with these old vintage books with wall books chasers and the classic collectors. They're as important, but there's lots of different strains of people who need pressing. The pressing demands are very different. And again, just coming back to questions like, how do I do this? What about that? The hardest thing, I think, is to press books you've never seen that are made with technology that is so new that you really don't have the ability to fully understand what you're actually handling and not mess it up.
I think
that's what we're focused on at the show.
I think that this, getting into this hobby or sub career of pressing comics has made me immune to Hulk 181s and Amazing Spider-Man 129s. Because I used to have them in awe, but they are our favorite, and you get them all the time.
Right, the big three, right, for key chasers is Amazing Spider-Man 129, Hulk 181, and Spider-Man 50. Those are like the 3 biggest. And because they're very hard to get in high grade. They're everywhere. They're just hard to get in high grade. But for ASM 129, people may not know, but there's this the top staple at the bottom of the top staple is often torn. That's why it's very valuable. It's very hard to find ASM 129s that don't have this manufacturing. There's a very small tear at the bottom staple a lot of the time. And so you really can't get the highest grades in that book a lot. On Hulk 181, you certainly can get the highest grades. There are plenty of those books out there, tons and tons of them. But because who wasn't collecting the Hulk? I mean, everybody kind of had one of those, if you will, right? It's just how well they maintain it. People were collecting Spider-Man too. Again, there's a manufacturing error that holds that one back. And then ASM 50 is just the all red, dark red cover. It's very difficult because of the quality of the book. There's another question. Sorry.
Right. It's a double key too, right? It's the first appearance of the Kingpin, and it's not really a key, but the
classic cover, classic
cover,
story, right? You have the full page sort of illustration of Spotty walking away from his costume. There's a lot of classic stuff there. There's a question that says, sort of, what about signed books, right? Can you press signed books? Of course you can. We press them all the time. What can't you press? Paint, pen, signed, varnish, or matte coated covers. The paint pens are not ink. And ink, and Rick, here comes something ignorant. Rick can smarten it up, but ink is a solvent-based delivery system that places pigment onto the paper. The solvent evaporates and it soaks the, either places it on the paper or puts it into the paper. The paint pens are like a powder or they're a pigment, but they're basically a different chemistry. And so the paint pen is like spreading a powder, a metallic powder, grains on the surface. And so the solvent is a carrier. It distributes it on there. The solvent evaporates, but it really has deposited a film, which is not quite the same as depositing a stain. Yeah. And so when you start to rub the white, it
is in the book. I like to say paint is on the book and ink is in the book.
And that's actually how we distinguish dry cleaning and deep cleaning. When someone says, well, what's the difference between dry cleaning and deep cleaning? Dry cleaning gets something that's on the surface. Deep cleaning attacks things that are in the fibers of the paper. And it's why it's deep clean. So, we plan to offer much of it. And actually, that's probably what will be never done in the world. Matt Nelson and CCS and others clean and press at conventions. We're going to clean and press at HeroesCon next week in Charlotte. I hope everyone who's here, who's listening, who's going to HeroesCon will join us there, or come say hi at least. And our partners, Golden Auctions, will be there as well. But the lightning, deep cleaning, stain removing at scale, overnight, on the daily, for a quick turn, to get to really dramatically change books. I don't think anyone's really offered that live publicly. I'm sure. I mean, but what I've heard and what I've seen is, most people do is they just get 10 presses and they bring them in their hotel room. They just line up the presses and they buy their books, the first day, and they sell the books the last day. And so they're doing it. There's tons of one-site pressing. It's just people doing it for their own scratch. I don't know if they're setting up, lightning systems and stain transfer and, whatever, vacuum tables and all the other wonderful, tools of the world that allow for stain removal, a library of stain removal techniques on demand. But that's what we're doing. And so we're bringing our truck. And one major advantage is we're in Atlanta. This is in Charlotte. It's a straight drive. Convention center is beautiful. It's very easy to get in and out, surrounded by hotels and restaurants. It's in a very nice place. And it's a very accommodating staff who have supported us the entire time. Carla and Shell and all the people who run HeroesCon have been supportive and open with helping us try to get this started, find a place for us, help get people aware of it, and making sure that we had everything we needed, from a path, elevator up and down, to move our stuff around, to early access to the convention center. Sadly, we have to leave with everyone else, though. We're dreading it. The show ends at 6. Everything has to be out of the convention center by midnight. And then we're on the road for 4 or 5 hours, 5 and 6 in the morning, coming back with all our stuff after having exhausted ourselves for 5 days and worked that whole day getting everybody their books back. By the way, we expect to leave with a lot more than we came, because I'll wrap up my comments, if I'm happy to answer the questions before we close. But again, if you are a dealer, if you are a collector, and you are going to HeroesCon with a short box or a long box, drop it with comicpresser.com. Let us clean and press it, help you get it graded. We'll send it to CGC for you. If it's your bill, pay it. If it's your account, give us the paperwork. We set it up for you. Otherwise, we'll give it to Golden and they'll get it graded. And then we can just get it sold for you. We, of course, is not me. I'm not selling anything. All I'm trying to do is to help you turn your stuff into money, because my attitude is nobody wants clean and pressing. Nobody. What they want is a beautiful comic book, or a higher grade vintage collectible, or something to show in their woman cave or a man cave or place, personal place. Right. Or they want to have it posted. They want the grade. They want the knowledge. They want the satisfaction. They want the tribute to the parent or sibling that they first experienced it with, whatever it is. Or they want money. It's not really their comics. They inherited them. They found them in a storage unit. They want them in an auction or another auction, and they want to move them. The Golden family, the Comic Presser family, and the Heroes Con family are working together to help improve what your family takes away from your time with comics and vintage paper. And so I'm optimistic that for the first time ever, you can drop the weight. Leave the comics with us. I have a 12-foot truck. I will take them back to Atlanta, clean and press every one of them as carefully as everything else with a guarantee nobody else has. We guarantee our work. That I don't guarantee to be the best. I don't guarantee to get it right. I guarantee to remove all the defects I can for the class of service you invest in. And I also guarantee that the Golden team will take good care of your stuff if you choose to pass it on. I hope this works. I hope it works for you. I hope it works for us. I hope it works for Heroes Con, because they are the best vintage comic show, in my opinion, for the size of the crowd, the number of vintage dealers they attract, the quality of the comics professional community that's willing to attend and participate and sign, to a world-class art contest and art auction where the artists create on site and auction Saturday night, to a gigantic costume contest they have. They have the best show there is. To now add on-site conservation, preservation, and collectibles care, so that you can on-ramp the value that truly drives comic investing and the comic hobby. That surprise upside is really the allure for so many people. Let us help you find that. Every day, you turn an 8.0 into a 9.4, you're going to love it. When you can turn that 9.4 into a 9.8, you're going to tell everybody. You turn a 9.8 into a 9.9, unbelievable. Get it signed by 2 artists and it's a 9.9. Every day there's new upside in the same collectible, in this hobby, if you know how to look. And that's the power of mastering either your own conservation or using someone else as a tool, a lever up, to try to get the most out of the comics you're investing in. So, Rick, you have been instrumental. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I could keep doing it. I didn't think I could do it well enough that anyone would care. I didn't think I could do it well enough that anybody would keep caring. And I didn't think that you would still be around by the time I ever reached that summit. Yeah, and so I just can't believe I've been able to get Golden, owned by eBay, to care. Heroes Con to care enough to try it, so that I could do it. And while I was doing it, I was betting, if I can't solve this problem, I know just who to talk to figure out if it's solvable. And that is Rick Morgan and Immaculate Comics.
Oh,
thank you so much for giving me a little platform to talk about it, but asking these thoughtful questions and making the tools, making the solutions, and keeping the conversation going with your kids, with your audience, so that when we don't know how to reach a hard spot in the spine, when we keep losing our staples, when we need to speed up, the dry cleaning, when we want to attack a problem, when we think, we can't get our stuff from the tariffs are too high in China, where are we going to get our attacking irons, whatever it is, here comes Rick with a solution. So thank you for all you do. Thanks.
Thank you, Barry. And thank you, audience. Thank you, Captive. Thanks, everybody. Buck, I'm shocked and pleasant to hear from you. And thanks, Barry. And I hope you have a good evening. I know it's late where you are. Thanks so much for showing up. And I'm crawling out of the grave and getting healthy again here. So I'm going to have more videos in the future. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
You're a good friend. Thanks so much.
You too, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.